Hello guys, and welcome to another ProfileTree video. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at web page development. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So just before we get started on the actual video, we're going to be taking a look at the different programming languages that you could use, how to make a responsive web design, and the web accessibility. But anyways, what exactly is web page development? So it refers to the process of creating and building individual web pages that are displayed on the internet. It involves combining various web technologies such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to design and structure the content and appearance of a web page. So starting off with our first programming language, which is hypertext markup language, and that's commonly known as HTML. This is the standard markup language used to create the structure and content of web pages on the internet. It is the foundation of all web development and plays a crucial role in defining and layout for the presentation of web documents, including text, images, links, multimedia, and other elements. So some of its key features, which is markup language, and HTML would use tags and elements to mark up the content of a web page. That'll indicate the purpose and structure of each part. Tags are enclosed in angle brackets, so less than or more than, and comes in pairs, so an opening tag and a closing tag with the content in between. So just to sample and take a look at the markup language, you can see that there's the this is the opening tag, and that is more than or less than p more than, and then of course the context inside it, and then less than / p more than. So if we try that for ourselves, we'll take a look at how it looks. You can see that this is the actual layout on how it comes out for the user. So it says my first paragraph. Now I can go ahead and change that if I wanted to. I can have that in italics. Now there are different elements and attributes which we'll get later on into the video. So first paragraph, and then /I. So that'll now be in italics. So if we run that, you can see that it is on the italics. And if you want to get a little bit more complex, you can have it as a header as well. So we'll have that as an opening tag of h2, and then we'll say /h2, and then go ahead and run it. So you can see that my first paragraph is now in italics. If I were to remove this, see if we can try to create an error. Say h3, put this up to h3, so that'll be smaller. So that is now smaller. So that's more or less how HTML uses the tags and elements to mark up the content of a web page. And this actually leads on to the elements and attributes. So we'll go ahead and move on to that one. So with the elements and attributes, HTML elements represent the building blocks of a web page. And that'll be the headings, paragraphs, images, links, and lists. Each element can have attributes that provide additional information or modify the behavior of an element. So using W3 schools again as our example, this is the HTML elements. So we've got less than h1 more than my first heading, less than /h1, and then more than. So that's what we know as the closing bracket, and this is the opening bracket. And whatever is inside there is the content. So regardless, it'll be your tag name, then your content, and tag name closing brackets. So here's the different tag names that are available. You've got h1, p, then you've got the br, which is break, and then you've also got the likes of italics as well. So there are plenty of different elements or start tags to use. And just to gain a little bit more understanding, if we take a look at, let's just say this. So currently at the minute, there's no end tag. So that's what we need to try to do, which is create an end tag. So these are two paragraphs, and it's meant to be two paragraphs. So we'll just do that. We'll run it. You can see that that is now a paragraph. And we'll do the same with this one. P. And we'll run it. And of course you can mess it about with this a little bit. From what we've seen here earlier on, you can create boldness into your fonts as well if you wanted to. So we'll just do that, and then we'll click run. You can see how that's bold. And if you wanted to add more tags into it as well, so there's italics, and then we'll do I for a closing bracket, and then run it. You can see that is a bold paragraph italic. You can turn that into a heading as well. So this is referring back to what we did earlier on. It's more or less the same. And you can see how it has to be in order. Now, if it does get a little bit confusing, you can try to space these out. This would be the correct way of performing this. So you don't get too confused. You actually know which is your line break and which isn't. So if you, in terms of coding, this would be more or less the correct way of doing it, instead of having everything partnered together, because it can get a little bit confusing. And then moving on to the attributes. So all HTML elements can have attributes. Attributes provide additional information about elements. So with this one, you've got like name equals value, or you've got a href tag. A tag will define a hyperlink. You can see that a href, which is w3schools.com. Now you can't just have a and then closing brackets. You can't just do that. This is more or less how that would work. It's a link. And there are other attributes that you can use as well, like imaging. And there's ones there for style, so you can add some style onto it. So more or less it will have a little bit of CSS. That's how it would go, but it's simple, which is an attribute. But yes, that is the elements and attributes. Now, there's more to HTML than just what we've looked at. Of course, with the elements, attributes, you've got headings, paragraphs. You've also got the document structure, semantic meaning, hyperlinks, which we had a brief look at, multimedia support. That's all to do with the imaging, audio, video, so what we've seen earlier on as well, and the cross-browser compatibility. So HTML is pretty much supported by all major web browsers, and that'll ensure consistent rendering and functionality across different platforms and devices. So what we'll do now is we'll take a look at another language that would be used for the web page development, and that is CSS, Cascading Style Sheets. So as mentioned before, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It's a style sheet language that's used in web development to control the presentation and layout of HTML documents. That'll be including web pages and web applications. So since CSS works alongside with HTML, it defines how the content of a web page should be displayed on the screen, in print, or on other media types. There are a couple of key features with CSS, so separation of style and structure. CSS allows developers to separate the presentation of a web page styling from its structure and content HTML. This separation improves the maintainability and flexibility of web pages, as changes in style can be applied globally without altering an underlying HTML. So just before we take a look at all the other features of CSS itself, we'll go ahead and go through the CSS tutorial on W3 Schools. So we'll try our first exercise here. So you can see with the background color, it is light blue. So it's marked on body, and that's the background color, which is being light blue. That can always be changed if you wanted it. So it could be null. So if we delete that and run it, you can see that this is now white. But a problem is the actual H1, which is our text, is color white. We can turn that to color black. And then if we run it, you can see that it will appear. So we'll get that changed to black and then run it. You can see that that's now color black. Now, if we did want a background color, so again, background color, now it has to be in the American version of color, not COLOUR. So like this, as it won't work. So it has to be like this. And then we'll have that as background color being green. I think we could do a light green. Let's see, run. So there's a lighter green, and the CSS is like that, so we'll change that. See if we can get ProfileTree in there. But I do want this to be bold. So bold like that. And then we need to hit it with a closing bracket, like so. Run it again. So that's now bold. And you can see with the font family, I can change it about. So say I wanted this to be Verdana as well. I can run that, so that looks a little bit better, more professional as well. And then I can change it with color being white. See what happens. So that's now ProfileTree. And then of course this paragraph. So we'll get that part in. Run it. So yeah, more or less you can go ahead and change parts about. You can see that it does change. So whatever we do in CSS, so this is currently the style. So whatever we change in CSS will change on the H1, just as long as we are calling the right tag, well, the actual tag name. So this one's H1, and that's H1 as well, and that's P for paragraph. You can see that we've created a class for the P. Now, if we created a one for italics, and just note that any family or any element that you place as P will always have this, but there are ways to actually group things up. But if we, as I said, do italics, and again, change the font family to that as well. So just see if I can copy and paste. Copy, then paste, and then remove, and go back. Okay, and then let's see. So we'll just do this, and then I'll change the I to italic. And then if I run that, you can see that it's providing the same font and font size. Now I can change the font size if I wanted to. You can see that's now a little bit bigger than what it used to. And then say I wanted to do 50px, you could do 50px. So it's not just header. Header is actually, it is well used just for the start of your text. And then you have other parts like paragraph as well. And then this is our other one, as you can see. And then I'm able to change the color again. So just say color, and then white, and then run it. So like so. But yeah, CSS, that's just the little friend for HTML to make the actual site look clear and better. Without CSS, you can't provide that styling that we see from websites. So take our site as an example. Without the use of CSS, this will all be very, very plain. You'll have a logo just sitting in the middle of nowhere with all our fonts and text from the top just being in bullet points. So that's why CSS is crucial in the web development process. Now there are other parts to it as well. There's syntax selectors, how to, you've got comments, colors, borders, margins, padding, but try it yourself, explore it, see what you can try to create using the tutorial that W3 Schools has to provide. So there is more to it with CSS. You've got inheritance and cascade, responsive web design, so it plays a very, very important role for creating that responsiveness in, of course, the web design. And this is with adapting to different screen sizes and devices. So if you lower the sizing, of course, it's meant to lower in the px or text size. So techniques like media queries allow developers to apply different styles based on the device's characteristics. We've also got box models, so CSS defines how all elements are rendered as boxes. So with properties like margin, padding, border, and content, understanding the box model is essential for controlling element layout and spacing. And it's crucial as well for layout and positioning. So CSS provides various properties to control the layout and positioning of elements on a web page. This includes properties for floating elements, flexbox layouts, grid layouts, and absolute positioning. And just to further explain this point, if we go onto our actual website and click on the inspect tool, we'll be able to see some of the elements that have been used for this. So we can see that this is the doc type, HTML, and this on our right side is our CSS. So there's the style sheet. So for this particular class, we could see that so we deliver, and then sleek website design and optimized content marketing. You can see how these have their own classes. So span, sleek, span, closing bracket, span, same with the optimized, so sleek and optimized. And you can see the color that has been used. So var, color secondary. And then if we take a look at website design, we could see that it doesn't need that color, as we're only trying to focus on sleek and optimized. Now in terms of positioning, you can see that with the margin it's 0 and margin bottom equals 0.5 em. So PT, that's the hero section, so PT hero main heading, and then of course that's our class. So we're trying to grab the class is style PT WP LG heading. So that's another way you could do it. Instead of actually having the element with the different fonts, sizes, and color, you can create a class, and with that class you're able to call it from the style sheet and create a part for it. So there's one there which is style the PT WP LG heading, and the color of the font is white with a line height of 120%. So it goes into depth with the coding, as you can see, and there's other parts to this. So this will lead us on to taking a look at JavaScript, which also plays a very important role in web development. So our next one is JavaScript. Now in web page development, JavaScript is a powerful and versatile scripting language, and it's used for interactivity and functionality for the web pages. Now it is one of the core technologies in front-end web development, and it works alongside HTML and CSS to try to create that dynamic and engaging user experience. Now going into a detailed explanation of JavaScript's role in web development, it does have client-side scripting. So it's primarily a client-side scripting language, meaning that it directly runs in the user's web browser. When a user visits a web page that contains JavaScript code, the browser interprets and executes the code on the client's device. Now we've actually had a look at the event handling before, so if you want to check out a video purely for JavaScript, go ahead and check that out on our YouTube channel. I would highly recommend to do so. But anyway, for event handling, this is more or less the JavaScript allowing developers to respond to various user actions. So say I would click this button here, you can see that it has responded to it, and that'll be through the course of event handling. So developers can trigger specific actions or functions when these events occur, and that'll create that interactive and responsive web page. But just to get a sample of what JavaScript is all about, again, we're on W3 Schools just to check out some of the tutorials that are available. So you can see that JavaScript is one of the 3 languages in all of web developers that they have to learn. So we'll take a look at it now. So create a variable called car name and assign it to the value of Volvo. So we'll just do car name, and then that'll be Volvo. So what you'll be calling out is the actual variable name and not the manufacturer, which is Volvo. So we'll submit that answer and should be good. So you can see that that's correct. And then you can see that create a variable called x and assign it to the value 50. So you're more or less just creating that value or the name. You're just naming the variable and then adding a value to it. So we'll see what we can do here. So we can see that y equals 10, and then we're looking for displaying the sum of 5 plus 10, so that'll of course equal to 15. So what we're going to do there is, for x, we want that to be 5. And we've got the document.getElement by ID, and then that's demo.inner HTML. That's just the document name, by the way. And then we've got equals x, and then we should have plus y, since x is 5 and y is 10. So it's just getting a little bit technical in terms of mathematics there, but it's just that'll be correct. So you can see what the variables are more or less used for. So for this one, it's asking us to create a variable called z and assign it to x plus y, and display the result in an alert box. So the way to do this is to go var z, and then for this box, since this wants us to create an alert box, we'll just say alert, and then we'll submit that answer, and then there you go, that's it, correct. So this one's easy enough. This is just going for the first name, and then our last name is that. And then for this one is easy enough. So it's going to be asking for age. So that's the age, and then the variable number is 35. So we'll submit that answer. And we almost missed, well, we did miss one major one, which is to actually add a comment to that. So variable first name equals John, last name equals Doe. So we'll just change that to Doe, and then we'll submit that answer. Let's see. So another thing that I should have done, which was a mistake, was the fact that there are two apostrophes there. So I should have done that and submit the answer. Let's see what else is wrong. Oh, for the age, we actually need to do not the age but the comma. So you can see the mistakes there, so we'll just do that. So for each area, so we've got our first name equals John, comma, last name equals Doe, comma, age equals 35. We'll submit that. Now that's correct. But yes, apart from that, you've got other areas that you want to take a look at. You've got your variables, constants, data types, functions, events. So that's the events that we were taking a look at earlier on. You've got strings, string methods, arrays, and so on. So a lot that JavaScript actually takes into account for when doing web page development. But overall, JavaScript is that key component of web page development, and without it, you can't create an interactive, responsive, dynamic user interface. And with the combination of all three languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, web developers can create that modern and engaging web page that provides seamless and enjoyable experience for all users. Our next one is the responsive web design. So with web development, this also involves implementing responsive design techniques to ensure that the page looks and functions well across various devices and screen sizes, including laptops, tablets, and smartphones. So right in front of us, we've got our ProfileTree website. Responsiveness plays a very crucial part in the web design. Now, if you don't have your responsiveness, all your content will be all over the place and it wouldn't be clear, and especially it wouldn't really look as professional as you would like it to be. So as mentioned earlier on, we've said that CSS, which is cascading style sheets, plays a very important role in trying to adapt and change that PX size or sizing, image sizing, basically all of the content that you have on your website. So testing and debugging is an important process to help you with the responsive web design. So throughout the development process, developers test and debug their web pages to identify any issues. So what you're debugging really is whether the content is aligning where you want it to be. Is it going to go top bottom, or what way is it going to go with in terms of content? Is it going to hide Are you going to hide some of the elements out of the way so you can't see them when it goes to a smaller screen size? So if we take a look at the site, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize it. So you see how some of the parts on the website crushes together. So some of these moved side by side. So if I bring it back up again, you can see our actual text here goes a little bit smaller. So we deliver sleek website design and optimized content marketing. So it's a little bit skinnier. Now, if I try to shrink that even more, we could see how parts of it is starting to shrink down as well. So instead of that being big font, bold type text on our left side of the screen, and with this one being on the right hand side, this is now changed so that it's at the very top of the screen, along with the second paragraph being below it. And then you've got a contact us button as well. So if we take a look and open this, we don't actually have a contact us button, as you can see. But if we bring it back to that size again, that's a new part that has been added to the site. And if you have noticed that our menu items have now been decreased into one area, and it's now in a hamburger menu. So we've got our services, portfolio, blog, about, contact us, and we've also got our little search bar there. So it's still the same, but instead of it being search with a text box, it's shrunk and turned into a actual icon. And you can see how compact everything is in terms of how the site looks. So if we keep scrolling down, so we'll go back to the menu here. We've got our video, but it is a little bit shrunk in terms of how this was. You can see that there wasn't any black borders, but as soon as I shrunk it a little bit, black borders have started to appear. And then we've got all the other parts there. You can see how optimized it looks. We've got all the different blog posts as well on here. And if we compare to how the blog posts look like that, you can see that it's this is the way that it's been laid out. Of course, if I shrink it again, you can see how some of these parts are overlapping each other, like so. And we've got our mailing list as well and our content. But you can see that different parts has been changed in order to accept the screen sizing. So if I make it even smaller, you can see that this is more or less mobile view at this rate. And if we expand it a little bit more, this would be tablet size. I would say that that's tablet size. And this, of course, would be our full screen desktop. But yeah, that is the importance of responsive web design. You want to keep that professional touch throughout the entire site, as well as being on the different devices. So just for those who want to do the web page development without the need to do any HTML, CSS, JavaScript development, then of course thinking about the rest, which is deployment and hosting, then you've got your testing and debugging, and then you have to take an account with the browser compatibility. Other websites do offer. So here we have Wix. Now Wix is a very popular website builder and offers a wide range of templates and customization options. It has a very user-friendly interface with a drag and drop editor. That makes it easy for beginners to create a professional looking website. So we'll have a look around some of the template designs that they have to offer. You can see there are different categories as well. You've got portfolios, you've got resumes and CVs, personal. Now if you want to go to the creative part, you've got photography, design, music, creative arts, video. You've also got one for e-commerce stores. So it's not just limited to non-e-commerce. You are as well going to e-commerce stores as well. And you also have community ones, which is education, communities, events, and even ones for blogs. Now, you can go ahead and sample them out. So if you want to just take a look and have a feel for what the site looks like, you can see that this is what the site looks. And then I can go ahead and scroll down. You can see how plain it is. However, it's nice and minimalistic for what it is. You've got a mobile drop down as well. So that's how that looks. And that'll more or less occur for each of the site. Next up is Squarespace. Squarespace is known for its beautiful templates and responsive designs, and it provides a visual editor and customization option, making it a suitable platform for artists, creatives, and small businesses. Now we could take a look again for the different templates it has to offer. You'll probably get a pop-up coming up here now. So it'll ask you what site you're looking for. So there's music, health and beauty, jewelry, restaurants, media and podcasts. So if we were to say digital marketing, it might throw up one or two. Now we're not looking to do any of that, but we are looking to sell services. And of course, that's when you can get started. You can build your own template, or you can create one professionally using the website template. But what we're here for is to take a look at some of the template designs that they have. So here are some of their best template matches. You can see we've got some of our portfolio designs here. So if we do take a look at portfolio, it'll give us the best options for portfolio. You can see the difference as well with Wix and Squarespace. It's not far off, but they do have a little bit more in terms of design. They just go that extra step. But a lot is possible with both of the platforms that we're looking at now, and there certainly is a lot that you can create for it. So if we take a look and preview some of the ones that they have, you can see with this one that they do have desktop, tablet, and mobile view. So that gives you more of an ease to think about in terms of responsive web design. And we can view a demo site on that as well. But yeah, more or less, again, this is a drag and drop editor. You're able to create those visually stunning designs on your site, so your creativity isn't really limited when you are using these website builders. The next website builder you guys could use is Shopify. So if you're wanting to create an online store, so this will occur if you want to run an e-commerce site without coding, Shopify is an excellent option. It specializes in e-commerce and provides an easy to use interface for managing products, inventory, and sales. We'll take a quick look at what templates that they have to offer as well. So some of these themes will have to be paid for, but they do have their free ones as well. So if we go ahead and check out all themes, we can see that we can filter out some of the free ones and paid for ones. So they do have 12 free ones, and that is the Shopify ones. So these are all the different themes. Now I would more or less rate this as a CMS option rather than a website builder. So it works almost the same as WordPress would. So if you guys have ever used WordPress, this is it. You've got plugins and things like that as well to worry about. So there are other industries that you can choose for: arts and crafts, baby and kids, clothing, electronics, pet supplies, and of course you can go ahead for the paid ones. So these are all the paid ones. But yeah, these templates are great, easy to use as well. You can add all your products all at one go if you wanted to, and it's easier to manage, especially if you are fairly busy and you don't have time to maybe manage the coding aspect of it. Then you don't have to worry about any of that since everything is on a website. Now do note, with all of these different website builders and CMS sites, they will require a payment option per month or per year. So that'll be your subscription. You need to pay for your domain fees, and you also have to pay for your actual hosting. So that's the hosting there. But other than that, it's easy to work with, and you don't have to have any coding language for it. But there you have it, guys. That is the full circle of web page development. As you can see, it is an essential part of web development as a whole. It focuses on creating individual pages with their unique content layout, and these web pages are interconnected through hyperlinks to form a website where users can navigate and access different pieces of information, services, or products provided by the website owner. Now, with the combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and of course if you're not too technical minded with the website builders, web page development brings the internet to life, offering a wide range of dynamic and interactive online experiences. But guys, hopefully that gives you an introduction into web page development, and hopefully you did find it helpful. Now, if you are wanting a website built, why not check out our site at www.profiletree.com, and you can contact us through the form, and be sure to ask plenty of questions on any of the actual services that we have to offer. But guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.